I guess I'm going to say for me, the buck stops there. Those are the last of the movies I've personally seen.
So I guess...
but I've read enough IMDb spoilers to know enough about these movies.
I can still hang for a couple more, I'd say.
I would say the next one we should talk about then is we've had enough of these movies with letters in them. Let's go for a basic numerical 1917.
Sorry, not much of a math student, bro. Really?
Not much of a counter, bro.
Not much of a counter, bro.
But 1917...
After 1916, I was really all fucked up.
I'm tapped out. There's a sequel. But 1917 nominated for, and I kind of feel like this one came out of not nowhere necessarily, but really, I think
it was a late release.
Barely made the cut. Like it just came out.
For sure. It came out right after Christmas, right around Christmas, which I think the rule is you need to be released for 1 week of the year. So if you're not released before Christmas...
Got you.
You're
Jesus is cutting you off. It's kind of my time now, guys. Not sharing the spotlight with you, Sam Mendes.
But luckily, we got to celebrate our Jesus' birthday with 1917.
That's right.
Because of that.
What says Christmas more than a gruesome one-take war
for
movie?
me, it was Uncut Gems. Yeah. And I guess we'll get into that later. But
1917 again. Even like when the Globes, it was like winning awards at the Globes. I was like, is this movie even fucking out yet? Like,
no, for sure. But was a very, very solid movie. It was really just a straight up like 2-hour action war scene kind of though. Reminded me a lot of the Wahlberg movie Lone Survivor.
Okay, sure.
You know where they're like in that movie they're just going up the hill in Afghanistan. Like the whole movie is a big firefight. This movie they're kind of like going
shoot him in the knees.
Exactly. This movie they're going from one location to another, and along the way they just like encounter all sorts of war obstacles. You know what I mean?
It kind of has that
guns,
Saving Private Ryan feel, where they're like, all right, we got to go. I think this one is that they go warn him about an ambush, but his brother could be in that ambush.
Sure,
Saving Private Ryan, the same
so
thing.
That's like that's laid down literally the first 10 minutes. They get brought into the general's office. Like, if you don't succeed, your brother's gonna be down this. And then they've got it. Then it's just like it literally kind of turns into like a professional wrestling match where the story is told like through the action, and there's body slams, and this guy's getting really hurt, and now he's got to come back around, and it's like that's the ultimately the movie. There's no other. So kind of by the end, you're looking for a little bit of a plot development. You know what I mean?
Sounds like Bad Boys 2, to be honest, man.
I mean, it's Bad Boys 2,
all action,
but 80 years earlier.
Okay,
right.
So instead of Ferraris, horses.
Exactly.
They're
fresh off the horses, but which is a cool part of this movie that it is a World War I movie, in all honesty. So they really are like straight out of horse cavalry battles. So you're ahead of like it's real primitive. So there's fucking like knife fights and shit.
Yeah, World War II gets enough of this fucking attention. All right.
Yeah. No, it's true. It is like a very rare World War I movie, but in general, it's a very intense action movie. But the other real headliner of this movie, I'd say, was the fact that it's pretty much exclusively shot in long series of like one shots.
Yeah.
It's like 5 or 6 like different real long one shot sequence that blend together through like camera tricks. Well, it'll like be, a one shot through a dark place. So it'd be like a logical point to cut the camera. But there's pretty much like, it starts.
It's very Birdman.
You are just like going forward until the, time eclipses.
So those credits are rolling, baby.
Exactly. Yeah. So really, really well shot and super cool, filmmaking from that standpoint. And just like there's these huge scenes with all sorts of people. How the fuck are they doing it in one take all the time? You know what I mean? So there's lots of that. That's very interesting. The movie is very intense. However, little bit if you're not down with like a straight up war action movie, not going to be your cup of tea.
Yeah,
and nothing else for you.
But also, that's what you get for going to see this movie. If you're not a big war.
No, that's true. But in terms of being like a well-rounded Oscar movie, I don't know if you're just going to give just like a straight action sequence the best picture,
sure.
It's not really,
But what about Best Director? Because Sam Mendes is the other thing this was nominated for was Best Director by Sam Mendes.
Really surprised.
And I feel like
yes, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That would personally take like a movie like this, as you explained it, like the long take.
For sure.
That takes a director's touch.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like that's not
definitely
a normal
Sam
way
Mendes,
you would do a horror
has,
movie like that.
One, I guess, I think American Beauty won an Oscar, if I recall.
One of my favorite movies until the lead got canceled.
What, American Beauty?
Yeah, I love American Beauty. And
Yeah.
you can't really watch it in the same lens with Kevin Spacey becoming like a kind of a creep in this movie. It hits a little too close to the old space case.
No, but and then as well as another great movie, or another more recent movie of his was Jarhead, though, which was like a more contemporary war movie. And I gave you my in Netflix and chat my feelings on the Brad Pitt movie that I can't really get into the contemporary war movies as much, so I don't even think I ever saw Jarhead.
Jarhead is interesting in the fact that it's another kind of war movie like this, but instead of being like a long action, like a long one-take action movie, Jarhead really, they don't think they ever get into combat once in the movie. The movie is really about like the training of the Marines, or the life inside of like training these Marines in boot camp and like them being the titular Jarhead of just like being ready to go fucking shoot some fucking.
All right, I gotcha. See, I did not.
Thank you for cutting me off there. I almost quoted the movie,
but
and I almost got canceled.
Yeah, seriously, especially with what I'm wearing, we can't get away. But so I did not see Jarhead. This one being a war that happened 100 years ago. Feel a little bit more comfortable getting my popcorn and digging in, but ultimately really enjoyed it. However, and Sam Mendes definitely feel like you're onto something there for Best Director. Total possibility.
Yeah, I could say.
Like we said, I'd say really. Like we said with Tarantino and Scorsese out there, kind of sentimental favorites, really could see Sam Mendes winning
for Best Director.
As well, I felt really surprised that the one kid was not nominated for Best Actor. I mean, I guess, there's only so many people you could put in. But
anybody really, like, and again, not to take away from, like, what he did, but couldn't anybody really just kind of run around and, like, breathe heavy in front of the camera and, like...
I mean, that's true. I guess there's a little
shoot
bit more
a gun
to that.
and look scared.
There's two of them. For most of it... so there is a lot of a back and forth dialogue for 70% of the movie until one of them bites it.
Oh boy!
But I guess you're right there. However, it is one of those movies where the one kid is literally in every goddamn scene. You know what I mean? And he's running around, and his hand gets blown off. He fucking getting an Oscar.
Yeah, a lot of running.
But you're right. No, but I was a little surprised at that. But I see what you're saying. However. Sam Mendes definitely a good chance, and the movie, honestly, I could see it. Yeah,
I could say that's one where the movie could get scratched off, but keep the Sam Mendes in for Best Director.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't feel like the two need to be exclusive, as they are in some of these categories.
No doubt.
Because even having said that, another movie that's coming up on this list would be JoJo Rabbit, which is nominated for Best Picture, but not nominated for Best Director.
Okay,
you know what I mean?
Yes.
That one,
which was another one that very much surprised me. That another name of the Oscars candidate, by the way.
Taika Waititi.
Taika Waititi, definite name of the Oscars category, but amazing
strong
job
competitor
in
against
this
Zazie
movie.
Beetz.
Yeah, amazing job in this movie, kind of just balancing the gravity of the subject matter with the fact that it was like a slapstick comedy.
For sure. It's really crazy, yeah. Whereas, like, Hitler is the lovable goofball.
And he plays
imaginary character, and he's playing. Yeah.
So he writes, directs, and plays Hitler in this classic. But really just a great all-around movie in terms of it being like No, and
I'm a big fan of his work too. Like, I love the Flight of the Conchord stuff. Jermaine Clement's like a big co-writer of his with a lot of. I think Lion vs. Shark, Eagle vs. Shark is like one of his first movies, which is like this indie New Zealand film. Hilarious.
Yeah, that had a lot of
What
buzz.
We Do in the Shadows.
That's been his recent thing where it's like a mockumentary about vampires.
Correct.
That he does with Jeff Tremaine. That's hilarious.
And it's very funny.
And then most recently, of course, Geeked Up favorite.
Thor, baby.
Yeah, probably one of my favorite Avenger movies of the last years, but Thor Ragnarok.
It was great. Yeah, it was really
sure.
good.
And it was like a great... funny comic book movie, but then also like psychedelic coloring, and it was like one of the most visually cool to look at, one of the most like entertaining, funny.
For sure. And all of these movies is kind of like, if you're watching one of these movies, you kind of know he's the one directing it. He has this very specific way of like just his own touch and humor on these things. The reason Thor was so good is because he directed it and like wrote a lot of it, and all these things that he makes are
Thor
very
was hilarious.
Are very good because
this
of him.
This movie is hilarious, but it's also just a really well-rounded movie where it's like.
Well, my point being is that nobody else could have directed it, and it would have been the same movie. I'm saying that the fact that he's not a Best Director nom for this movie,
definitely,
and the movie is, I think, is total bullshit.
Yeah,
like
for
this
sure.
movie couldn't have existed without him.
I mean, in terms of, I guess, just the direction in general, maybe the fact that it's just not much of like a flashy to look at kind of movie. Maybe
Then
he's
maybe
like
it should be Best
probably
Picture.
Directed for like screenplay or more of like a writing kind of award for this one. But it's just like a more basic, compared to a 1917 or what I mean, some of the other Best Director nominees. And I'm not even disagreeing with you. I'm just saying that maybe is where they're coming from. But from his standpoint, like I was saying, to balance the weight of the subject, like the content of the movie being like a Jew in the attic of like Nazi Germany and have it be like a lighthearted comedy, and to execute it so well is like magical directing. You know what I mean? Like
Exactly.
For that not to be,
I think that's a
real...
real...
for sure. So definite huge snubski there.
So
but he really
eat your heart out, Greta Gerwig.
Exactly. But he really does pull off where it's hilarious, but yet heartbreaking and thought-provoking, you know what I mean, all at the same time, you know what I mean? Like you're laughing at Nazi Germany and
Plus,
like sad at the humanity that's going on.
One of those things too where would half of these lines be as funny without that New Zealand accent? Like it's just, and I don't mean that even like in like a mean way. Those lines
straight
kill.
up.
It's a tough day to be a Nazi, isn't it? Like that shit's fucking arguably
he's straight
hilarious.
up Hitler in this one. He's got a hilarious little German accent going down.
But even the little like New Zealand kids talking about being Nazis, they being little Hitler's youth. It's hilarious.
Yeah, the one fat kid's little accent is hilarious.
Yeah,
like
it's the
just
best.
his just not even trying to be a German accent.
Yeah, exactly that. Oh, it's a tough day to be a Nazi then, isn't it?
But yeah, definitely one of the an absolute Rudy's dad in my book, and one of the real strong candidates to take it home for Best Picture. My only kind of concern is, are they going to give a movie with such grisly subject matter and content Best Picture of the year? Just the fact that it's a movie that takes place in Nazi Germany with like swastikas and all this stuff using comedic reference. Is that going to be like the Academy's choice for Best Picture?
This is funny concerns coming from the guy dressed like a Nazi.
I mean, I've gone on to my more traditional black hoodie by now, but
looks like a white hoodie. Liam's on his. I guess the other none of the kids were nominated for this. He himself wasn't nominated for Best Supporting Actress. The
kids never are. The kids are,
very
usually
rarely.
not,
You would think he might have been too.
I would have
nominated.
thought that maybe Scarlett Johansson rather would have been nominated for lead actress in the movie.
And not
She
Best
is
Supporting
actress, and like the younger girl takes the lead
for sure.
But
still, another Scarlett Johansson nomination.
Yeah, for sure. And she does a great job in this movie, definitely. Like, it's really, just everybody does a great job of balancing the kind of, emotion of the movie with the humor in the movie,
But it's also kind of wild just how often do you think that happens? We get nominated in both categories for two different movies. Like, she's nominated for Best Lead and she's nominated for Best Supporting.
Yeah, for sure. And honestly, a chance to win for both, honestly. Like, I would be, this one I would definitely put her in the favorite list for Best Supporting Actress.
Kathy Bates is going to win it? Boo!
Kathy Bates, who's nominated, by the way, for Richard Jewell, yet nothing from the hilarious Fatso.
Yeah, Richard Jewell.
I mean, come on.
Literally the guy whose name is in the title. Nothing.
But as well, Laura Dern.
Isn't she
Florence
playing
Pugh,
Richard
Margot
Jewell's
Robbie,
mom in this movie? She's more or less just playing Bobby Boucher's fucking... Kathy Bates, I'm saying. Is literally just playing Mama Boucher again. Oh, my weird little son.
So I would not be at all surprised to see her win for that one as well. Marriage Story, you could see her taking home. She's,
for sure.
It seems to be an acting-dominated movie, so... But all in all, definitely... would be very worthy. However, just like I was saying, I don't know if I feel the subject matter overall might kind of preclude it from, being really recognized with the Academy Award, but...
I guess Bring It Home then would be this year's Roma, except not on Netflix. And that would be, let me just say one more thing about stupid Kathy Bates. No, it'll go too long. But this year's Roma would be Parasite. Of course, the Korean Best Picture nomination. Also nominated for Best Foreign Film.
Yep.
So one of those few.
I'd say shoe in for Best Foreign Film.
Not JoJo
I'm looking
Rabbit.
right at you, Les Mis.
In the hood.
Yeah, the reinterpretation of Les Mis. But yeah, Parasite, you'd imagine, definitely a favorite for Best Foreign Film.
For sure.
And I think probably has a real good chance at Best Picture as well. I feel a great movie. I'd put Rudy's Dad it. However,
A lot of Rudy's Dad's going on.
Netflix dropping the ball. I mean, this is the Oscars, bro. This is where Rudy's Dad.
This is the Rudy's of the Rudy's Dad.
Seriously. This is where Rudy's Dad hangs out. You know what I mean?
Except for the two Netflix ones. Something tells me Marriage Story is not getting a Rudy's Dad. Nor did The Irishman.
Yeah, I mean, but a great movie. I do feel a little bit overrated just based on the hip fact. The fact that it's a foreign movie. Everybody that's seen it is, hyping it up a little bit much. It's not this earth-shattering, groundbreaking movie that some people are making it out to be. But very, very solid movie. Again, a good balance job of, you know what I mean? It's like a pretty intense, grisly subject matter, but very, very funny at times.
Yeah,
the characters are really well-rounded, where they're really flawed, but really likable. They're kind of like the Korean family from Shameless.
Gotcha.
They're like, you know what I mean? These super degenerate,
The
horrible
Gallagher.
people, but you kind
Yeah.
of fucking love them because they're hilarious. You know what I mean? As well as the rich family that they're kind of in, in adversary with, are, kind of
Gotcha.
flawed, but also very likable. So just in general, it's, good balance. It's got a good humor. It's like a Coen Brothers style, funny,
That's
but
what it-
also
that's how it has that
violent
appeal
and
of-
crazy. You know what I mean?
Exactly that. And that one, again, is Best Picture nominated and the director for coming in, dare I say, third best name?
Yes, I mean, when your first name is Bong, you're definitely major big LW points. But Bong Joon, and this movie is as well back in Korean, where the only movie that I'm familiar with him from before is Snowpiercer, which is his English debut, was a big success, and now back to a Korean movie. So
He has a Netflix original movie on there, too. And I forget what it's called, but it's about this girl that has some giant monster. And I think Tilda
All right, well, in
Swinton
lieu
is
of
in it.
Marriage Story, I'm watching I'm watching that one.
Yeah, I have to remember
And
what
we'll
it's
compare
called,
notes, but
yeah. Maybe our first Rudy's Dad. So I guess that would be it then for the whole list of the Best Picture nominations.
for sure.
WEFUNK. We funk.